Man, I'll tell you what, from a leadership standpoint, even more so from an energy standpoint, there are very few people I could say pretty much almost top me at that. And that's my man, Todd Crockett. What's going on, Todd?
What is up? The intro music got my heart pumping. I'm just trying to breathe a little bit now. Just get down a notch so I don't talk too fast.
Man, I'll tell you what, and that's funny because like as the host, I can always see the people like underneath and everyone's always like, yeah, let's go. So yeah,
I'm climbing in the octagon. Come on. Do this.
So Todd, when we're putting on this Live with Leaders segment, I'm always looking for people who are leading the way in the real estate industry, doing new things, always seeing what's ahead of the curve, and just being a little bit different. And I think you fit that mold perfectly. So Todd, I want to start off with something you kind of let us in a little bit on the back end, but it's your content compound. What you're doing over there, and you're actually in one of the units right now. So why don't you fill us in a little bit about what you've been seeing there? What is the content compound?
Well, right now you're in the top floor, which is the Scottsdale unit. And it's reminiscent of a place you went in Scottsdale. So it's got the double thick granite island that doubles as a workspace. So It can be, it's all set up. So it is one big movie set, content producing, cohabiting, party rec center, all combined. So I had the building. I've really had it for 2 decades now. And it was a dorm for a cosmetology school, which was kind of entertaining. But then after a while, I'm separating them from having little cat fights, and you're kind of a moderator. You're like, if I had a live reality show, it would have been worth it. Right. But I had the building here. And it's a really cool location, but it didn't quite have the layout that ideally for renting, because the units were 3-bedroom, 1 full bath. And so it always led to different tenants that weren't quite what I was looking for. So I'm like, you know what? When we ever would have a place working out of town, as I did with different companies, first in Scottsdale, then in Charleston, you realize, probably just like your apartment now, Nick, you don't need a lot of space. You just want the quality of space. Like, how much can you make it? So then I'm like, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make each floor of this compound as nice as I can make it. And I made it essentially into a now 2-bedroom, 2 full bath. So when I'm taking one of the bedrooms, I'm going to make it into a full bath. But not only do I make it to a nice full bath, because it's 10 by 12, I tile everything. Like everything with the ceiling in that bathroom is tiled. Right. All 6 bathrooms in the place, because it's a 3-level building. So we've got the Scottsdale, which looks like reminiscent of being in Scottsdale. Right,
you got the whole feel for like what it's like there. You're trying to bring it to the apartment place.
It does. Yeah. And then if we do any live cam office, we kind of chuckle. We could have your different floors of people creating content, and we can check in on the Scottsdale location and the Charleston location and the Cleveland location. And people may assume they're different offices. But they are, but they're just called that. They're different suites. Right. So there's places that I always look to have a branch out office-wise. So this is where I'm starting. Yeah. So I realized, you know what? If you're going to recruit top talent, it's literally like recruiting athletes or bringing tech developers. You have to create an environment that they want to be there and recruit their friends. You ever see the movie The Kingsman?
Yeah, I have seen that.
So it's kind of like that. What you want to do is you want to bring in the most talented, elite performers. I don't care if they're a little street, a little rough around the edges. If you can produce, we're going to give you every tool, everything you need, and we're going to compound. The top 6 get to live here. Another 20 can work here. And so we've got affiliations with Lake Erie College and Cleveland State. So we can work on different projects here. So we're just kind of wrapping up now as we're having what we call the civilians. As they move out, we then infiltrate the tradesmen. So that's the tradesmen ultimately be working here out of the compound. So what it has is a 3-level building. And then it has a breezeway to it, then a 5-car garage that has 2 stories. So the top floor now has reclining chairs, so you can sit there and have a discussion pre-production meeting. And there's a back office with a long strip for all the computers and 6 gaming chairs where people can edit videos. But you want to have a compound they can live here, hang here. We can have a lot of different tailgate parties here. And it just becomes a good recruiting tool for people within the companies, because interesting thing is people like to work remotely.
They do.
This gives them a kind of a community involvement. Because when we were Charleston, I was talking, we're talking with Greer and regarding Boomtown. So Boomtown is a really cool tech company out in Charleston, South Carolina.
Right.
And I always thought, like, that is
I know you frequent there a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool to visit because they had such vibrant, community there. And there would be the table shuffleboard, and they had the keg there, the dog park.
It's
and it was
culture that they built to get people to want to come in. They want to come into the office. There's different things for them to do. Yeah.
It was like a mini Google. It was phenomenal. Like, that is a cool freaking thing. So I tried to kind of replicate that with housing. But then when you hear, I was recently out there, we talked, bless you. So recently talked with Greer, and we had an informal closers retreat that, the company can't put it on, Boomtown can't, but if you want to have good culture, this is when your clients actually put on the event that you were supposed to do, and then
right.
So the Boomtown closers did that and invited Greer to the event that he would have hosted if he was allowed to.
Yeah. So
he shares with us that, you know what? And he's got the coolest place I've ever seen. Yeah. Right now, they're working remotely because it's an open concept. So it's even tougher. He's doing closed office. He says 30% of his labor force would never want to come in again. They'll just stay remotely.
And that's what's been happening too, with like this huge shift with everything with everything that went on with COVID. I think a lot of companies were kind of going to this place where they wanted to start testing out remotely, started getting more people virtual and digital. And when this happened, it forced everybody to make that change. I know I was talking to some people like 2-3 years down the road, we want to make these changes. But then it was like in a blink of an eye, it's like, nope, we got to make these changes right now. So I got to give you credit, Todd, because you kind of saw this happening before like the big change and everybody was forced to go work from home. You were creating this well before COVID hit, right? So what was it that you saw happening maybe within the workplace, within real estate, that got you thinking ahead of the curve with getting people working from home, creating this space for people to work at?
Well, to me, it's just a matter of creative people when they're working on things. And even in real estate, you don't have set hours. You're not punching in. It's just a matter of, okay, how much value can I produce in a 24-hour time period? And I don't really care what hours you work. Like I said, hey, the greatest thing about real estate, you work a half a day. So just pick the 12 hours you want to work and do your best production at that time. So I knew it. And also I like to collaborate with people. Yeah. And instead of trying to get different tech developers, graphic designers, video people, trying to get them all together to try and either schedule a meeting or have them come to a different office place, you just have to say, 10 o'clock tomorrow, I'll be over. Because you're already here. So we got that. So I know you're going to be here. So that was, and then COVID makes you kind of double down and realize to expand some opportunities and really take what it was built here to try and expand on what we can offer value-wise. Right. With like the coolest environment with Greer, 30% never want to come in again. 50% want to come in 1 to 2 days a week. Yeah. And then the other ones that are new people would come in more frequently. And that's the cool space. So he's like, right now I've got like 10,000 square feet per person because you only have like a handful of people coming in COVID times. But with the pandemic, one thing people underestimated is how efficient a mobile workforce would be. Yes. That's what people didn't determine, because your people that know how to produce are going to do that. And now every single person that owns a company thinking right now, okay, do I need 50% of space? Do I need 25%? Do I just need, an office front, 10% of the space? Yeah. Because I look at our office space that used to be vibrant with activity. Difference, probably the same thing, over at, L's office as well. I mean, you get used to working efficiently.
Start looking at all the space and everybody's working from home. They're liking it. So, I mean, with that being said too, I mean, a big part about what your bio and everything that I know you stand for too is that culture. You guys do a great job with your culture. So how have you been able to keep the culture or maybe even thrive with the culture with everybody working remotely?
It is. You still have it competitive with other groups, whether, it's either a Facebook group or a Slack group, whatever it may be. So you have constant community as far as collaboration, communication. We've got, gamification with Sisu. So you see the other numbers as far as how people are doing producing wise. But it also then gives you an opportunity to realize, how do you create more quality content? And that's what I always had a lot of respect for you and Michael, is like, you were ahead of the game on How does it work with content creating? That's probably one of the only benefits of having COVID plus Facebook. Like about Mark, like a text at like an anniversary 1 year ago, he did something with Orville, because I used to always try and get Orville to work on projects because he lives in the area. I can be there for an hour. I don't have time to edit it. But then I'm like, Orville, event photographer. I'm like, there's no events, Orville.
Right. Let's get on it. Come on.
We got do this. And so then you can start, upping your game and doing really cool videos. And then I've got reach out to me. That was actually Machine Gun Kelly's original videographer. And it's like, hey, I like some of the stuff you're doing. Can I shoot a video for you?
Who was that, by the way? Was that
his name is Giuseppe Palumbo.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So then the funny thing, one thing I really, realized is like, it's really fun throwing badass parties at other people's houses.
At other people's houses.
Yeah. So we had this one, did one, sold it over in the sanctuary, had a really cool event there. Ended up bringing my own buyer that bought that property, paid 1.2 million cash, closed in 4 days. That's my biggest earnest deposit money. I got 1.2 in earnest deposit money.
Yeah.
So he was a baller. So then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this for this other property because a band contacted me and said, we need to shoot for Fox 8. Do you have a cool house? I'm like, yeah, I got this really cool one in Bracknell. And so then I said, all right, let's get Orville. And I got Giuseppe there. And I've got this other girl that does fire eating, flaming performance, almost like a Cirque du Soleil performance. And so then it's kind of nice when you just get creative people together and then just step out of the way and see what they create. So just put a nice fun impact to a video to just try and market a house differently by really just shooting a music video there.
Right.
And that launched out.
Man, so that's one thing. Like every time I look at your videos, different things you're doing, it's entertainment, right? I know you see the value in entertaining in videos. Like your guys' Browns video, a great example. You weren't just thinking like, okay, it's Brown season, let's put on a couple shirts and go shoot a video. Y'all were sitting there, you were like saying hike, throwing the ball around, doing different things. So when it comes to your content and the entertainment, how much thought do you give into that creative process? Like what goes through your mind when you're shooting these videos? Because you always come up, like you said, you have the rollerblade girl in some of the videos. You have people throwing around fire, you're throwing around the football. So like, how do you sit there and come up with these ideas for the content?
You're always looking for eclectic performers. Because you're realizing if you're just having a house by itself, everyone's doing that. They're going to do a drone shot. They're going to come in and you're going to have like, how do you make it, especially with video, you've got more fluid motion. Yeah. And then just having beyond that, you've got the background music, but it helps to have just a little bit of voiceover to just make it interesting on it. And then you start to realize, okay, you need to start like reducing the length of videos. Because even that Browns one I watched was done a year ago, and that seems long now compared to the attention spans, because you used to be, okay, you could go 90 seconds. Then you're saying, okay, we got 60 seconds. Then I started doing advertising in a Krem.com, which is just for businesses. Most business people go to that because I wanted to do higher end listings. Right. And you're down to 30 seconds.
Well, now everybody's used to TikTok, which is really quick videos, and that's what people are getting accustomed to. It's that quick video, you get some entertainment in really quick, and that's it.
Yeah, so now it's with some of these properties, I'll end up getting a 30-second video, that you can put out in media distribution, and then maybe have a little bit more in-depth one to follow that up. But the intent is to get people inside, and it's also to create. When you create an event, you want to go ahead and have people look at it and be like, I wish I was there. Because I probably told you before, a lot of times I used to look in the Scene magazine I'd be able to pick it up at restaurants, and I'd look at pictures of a party, and I'd be like, that looks like an awesome party. I should have went there. Right. That party sucked. But the photos are awesome. And that's the same thing you can do with creating events. And sometimes events that, we had one time Ola Tacos open in our area in downtown Willoughby. Yeah. So I just asked the guy, hey, save me a table, make you a video. It was one of his opening nights. It really wasn't that busy of a night. Like the energy in the place was okay. But it like crushed the video. Like it looked like it was the coolest event ever. Yeah. So then he's got the upstairs because he has two different brands. The other one's called Baracco. So he loved that first video the first time we just gave him. I said, listen, all right, if you go ahead and let me just host a VIP party for my clients and friends, we'll turn a whole video into Baracco. Right. And he's like, all right, you've got, here's your budget. You pay. And I'm okay. And then you just come on in, and then obviously you make your cameos in the video, and you try and say, all right, let's put together a 30-second commercial quality video.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're looking to do. And then had a recent opportunity, because the more you do that, people see that, and then they look to bring you in. I've got a financial advisor in our area called Randy Carver, and he made $1.2 billion in assets. And then he's like, hey, I want to do an office video, just kind of a tour of the office video. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah. Bring us in. We're not doing a tour. We're going to light it up, It's
right.
Because he then has an event coming up, which he invited us to go ahead and attend and do the videography on that. And he's got 75 financial advisors, each managing over $1 billion in assets. And so you kind of look to that clientele of how do you expand it?
Right.
And we're doing whole different things with a wine distributor that reps Ernest Gallo on different wine brands now.
Right.
But it's still to the point of it creates conversations and opens up real estate doors. So that although I find it entertaining and it opens up relationships, because that's what it does. It builds upbrand relationships, but the dollars are made on real estate. Because my lead-ins are property prep. I've got a property prep company division that handles anything people need, and the upload video production. And those, I don't really try and even make money on them, because it's just a matter of getting in the door so I can handle the real estate needs.
Yeah, and like you said, when it comes down to it, we always say the difference between a contact and a contract is the R, the relationship that you have with people, right? The stronger relationships, the more they think real estate and they think you, that's what winning looks like with your content. And that's why, when you're shooting these videos, it's the entertainment factor. Because when we're on social media, like right now, we're not competing against other real estate agents shooting a video too. We're competing against my cousin who just had a baby and they're posting it on social media. The Instagram models that are out there that Lord knows whatever they're posting on Instagram and all these places, right? So like when we think social media, a lot of times we get caught up in, oh, I got to compete against that agent who just shot a video. And it's the wrong train of thought. So when you shoot your videos, like you said, fire performers, you guys are doing all these different things to have that commercial quality to grab their attention. So like you do a great job with that. And then you also get really involved with the community. And then you guys make sure you shoot like the videos that come with it. I think you guys were giving away coats, or you guys had like a coat drive last time it was getting cold. Well, is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Sub-zero mission, because they go ahead and fill up the whole big, they've got bins of coats and gloves, and they really go look for homeless, especially veterans, all throughout Cleveland, and go ahead and try and get them into a shelter, get them clothing.
Right.
And so, they do the hard work. We just go ahead and promote them and help them collect other coats.
Yeah. So talk to me about that a little bit, about some of the content that you guys create to get involved with the community, and what is the ultimate goal? Of course, it's to help the community and get people involved, but how do you see that transition to how your team reacts to your content and the culture it builds too?
I think one thing I realize is the more you really strive to just go out and truly help people, the universe will conspire to compensate you. And that's what I've found out. So the more I look at it, we're blessed to be an opportunity where, because of the business that we're in, we're trained in negotiating, we're trained in open, just make you feel comfortable in a relationship. If you're adding value, then you realize what you do in marketing. How do we do video production? What are we going to do in different items? Hey, we can probably do hostage negotiations if we needed to. And so you look at situations, because we've had to solve so many problems, that you can quickly look at somebody's other business or opportunity. It's like, here's where I can make an impact that can really help you. Because I used to always say, I don't sell you any house, I just sell you on my service. But now I just share solutions. Solutions sell themselves. So when you look at it, housing, do I need anything done prep-wise? I've got guys that can do anything from tuck pointing chimneys to go ahead and pulling out carpet, refinishing hardwood, taking wallpaper down, anything that you need, and they do it at wholesale pricing. So I can come on in and tell a seller, listen, here's what we'll do. You don't even have to pay me till closing. I'll invest. You let me do this and let me know this is going to cost you $3,500 to do it. But when you go sell your house, you'll sell it for at least $10,000 more. And you don't have to pay me till it closes. And it just opens opportunities that way. Right. Then the high end just becomes, trying to have really cool video production, and then you start calls of being like, hey, we need you at this New Year's Eve event, and have a video company there. So you realize, and that just opens up relationships that way. And then life is kind of fun. It's just a game of seeing how good can your content be? How many people can you help? Right.
Yeah, and on top of that too, especially being the leader, you're leading the charge with the video, with helping out in the community. What kind of trickle down have you seen with your team that maybe has followed suit and continue to strive just like the ways that you're doing it as well?
It gives them instant recognition as far as things that we do.
Check out who's tuning in really quick. That's our man right there, Ryan Lodi. Shout out, Ryan.
I see that. I have mad respect for Ryan. He always practices his craft. I see him the other day. He's working on his game, his basketball game. I pull in, I see him there, and I've got a baseball cap, hoodie, mask on.
Yeah.
I scream something at him just to let him know there.
Man, that was great. I think it was in Key West is when he first came up to me. It's like, you have a cousin named Ryan, don't you? Yeah, that was a great way that you guys were able to meet. But man, that's a commitment level from both of you guys. Always showing up, always seeing each other there. But that's a whole other story. But yeah, we were talking about the trickle down effect that you see from you being the leader and then seeing your team follow suit as far as the helping out the community, the content and the videos.
What you can do, what you want to do is you want to put people into their red zone. You want to have them where they got the heart pumping, blood flowing, and you've got them where they're in a position to succeed as much as possible. So you determine what is the strength and what can I take off that slows them down and kind of block for them and be like, is it, here can we help you in different structures so that you are doing what you do best, whether it's in real estate, whether it's in construction, video production. Just find out what's slowing them down. You can kind of look and analyze what they're getting tripped up on. And then what is it, how can I help you stay in that red zone? So we give them brand recognition. So they've got credibility with the team, the amount of real estate that we sell, so that they know there's that backing. Then they have to have just a mindset that, that you can succeed in providing solutions. We can help you provide those. But then right now it comes down to like perseverance, especially right now. I'm realizing, okay, I got a little off my fitness routine. This past month, all of a sudden, next thing I know, like I got Christian at home, so I'm buying chocolate, and then I'm eating it before I get home. I'm like, okay, I can step it up. So then you're like, all right, I'm going to flip the switch, man. I'm going to go like psycho 60 days. And just to me, I just need some discipline as far as I'm going to drink more water. I'm going to eat more fruit and vegetables. I'm going to tighten up my game that way. And it's going to make me more productive with what I do. And I share things essentially with that mindset because you have to let people know that everybody goes through it. You get off course, but like how quickly can you get back on? And how accountable are you going to hold yourself to do that? And that's just, then you turn it into a sport and a game of it. And you're like, right now, when it's dark and rainy in Cleveland, this is like other people are going to cave. And you're like, I'm going harder right now.
It's going to make an excuse. It's giving yourself that excuse like, oh, it's dark out, I'm not going to do X, Y, Z. And then all of a sudden, I get it. There can be some, what's that called? Seasonal depression and everything. There's a lot that's in that as well. But it's also, it gives yourself a reason to not do as much as you should be doing. And I think
or you go the opposite way and say, you know what, I'm going to absolutely crush through this because you know what, there's nothing to do. I don't want to do anything outside. There's not distractions, anything going on. How hard can I train my brain, my body, get ready to really add value when things open up? And that's what you realize. All right, now that's the mindset you have to have, and it permeates through the team, and they see it by your actions. And that's what it comes down to. A lot of times, you just have to be, if you want to lead a pack, you got to be the hardest, strongest working person that shows up. You got to be the hardest, smartest, quickest one to do something. I just say, I was working on a construction project and all of a sudden I realized this trash wasn't picked up and stuff like that. And I hear the guy, well, we don't have enough garbage cans because I'm at a listing appointment. I see the shed and I see it's going to need paint. I said, my guys will paint it so it passes FHA. And they say, we're just going to, take it down. It needs a new roof. And I'm like, all right, my guys, we'll put a new roof on it. And so I'm going by and I see one guy's telling me, he'll get the shingles tomorrow. And I'm like,
tomorrow?
I had like half that truck loaded in 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Sorry, man. Yeah. Anyways, he doesn't work with me anymore. Because, like, if I'm out working you on site, then it's just not going to work. You know what I mean? Because I want you to bring the tenacity that I bring, because otherwise I got to clean up after you. And it's the same thing I tell anybody. I tell it to my son. I mean, it's the one key: do what you're supposed to do. When you're supposed to do it, whether you feel like it or not. Because there's a lot of times you don't feel like it. Well,
it's more times than not. You're not going to feel like doing the heavy lifts. You're not going to feel like doing the work. And that's what it comes down to. And being a leader is getting it done anyways, right? A lot of times we're going to be put in a position where maybe somebody didn't show up and something doesn't get done. And we have to step into certain boxes and do certain things, like you said, that you might not always feel like doing. So when it comes to being a leader, there's a lot of lessons that you learn along the way. What was one of the toughest lessons for you to learn when you stepped into this leadership role?
Listen and then talk. Because although I think I may have the answer and I may be about 80% on point, if I listen, I'm going to get some more nuances. I'm going to, see where there is a challenge, see I can provide a better, response than an instant reaction.
Yeah.
And so I've kind of slowed down with that aspect to evaluate how to respond on situations. Unless it's lack of effort, then I'm more respond fast.
Right. You're gonna take action and show them this is what you're supposed to do is action.
Come on, let's go.
Right. Can you think of a specific time where you realize, like, man, if I would have listened more and then responded, that maybe the outcome would have been different?
You either get that call, that text, that message, and when your blood boils up, that's the point of, like, I've learned to slow down as a leader, because although I may be right, I may respond harsh. So it may have a different, repercussions. Right. Now I'm correct, but somebody's crushed. I didn't help the situation. So if I sit back, kind of analyze it, sometimes you guys say, all right, you take them by the hand. We're going to do this together. Like, if you need help with this, we're going to figure this out. And then sometimes you just got to find out where their headspace is. So normally it's something else, consuming their mind that you need to help them, get through that hurdle. I mean, there's a lot of different challenging situations right now. So you have to help people understand that, we all have the challenges, but what you have to do, you have to learn to compartmentalize that. Okay. There's a point, this situation, there's only so much I can do right now. So I'm going to put that in a compartment.
Yeah.
Do something else. Now I'm going to pull out this compartment and work on this compartment. And that's what you have to do. Take it one thing at a time. Otherwise it's overwhelming and consuming. And so there's one thing here's what we need to focus on right now. And that's how you can ultimately help people. If you dwell on it, you're not helping anybody. They always say you got to put your oxygen mask on first, make sure you've got yourself correct so you can give the proper advice. Yeah. And that's why you want people to be leaders, to do it that way so they can help others as well.
Yeah. And that's something I like to talk about too. It's called being essentially selfish, right? And that's the same concept as you got to put your oxygen mask on first, because if you don't help yourself, you're not going to put yourself in a position to help others as well. And something we always say is accountability is the highest form of love, right? If I really love you, I will hold you accountable to your goals that you told me you're going to hit. If I really love you, and when you tell me you're going to make calls and you don't, I'm going to hold you accountable as to what happened for you to not make calls. So what are some of the different ways that you hold people accountable?
Yeah, you have to I think one thing I realize is most miscommunication is due to unclear expectations. So first be real clear with the expectation,
right?
And then before you point out to anybody else what they didn't do, you sit down and say, okay, over these last X amount of days, just tell me what you did right.
Right.
What you felt you could improve upon.
Right.
And then you want to see where they are in the self-assessment. Because if they can accurately self-assess the problem, you can get through it. But if they're flat out denial all of the time, then you're like, you only commit to the committed.
Right.
Realize if you're not committed after a while, I could be helping somebody else. We're getting results with you if you're not going to do the work.
Right.
So let's just save ourselves some song and dance and move on.
Man, that's so true too. Because we had the 100%. I don't have the wristband on for like the first time in years. I literally have my what's it called? Tan lines from my wristbands, and I don't have any on right now. But the 100% accountability, zero excuses. For the people who are accountable, they know what they did wrong majority of the time. And chances are they'll even seek you out to see what they could be doing done differently. So with that being said, like with the core values and getting those involved, how important are core values to your team, and how do you make sure that people are aware of them, stay on top of them, and really that those are implemented within the team structure?
Yeah, you can just see how people carry themselves in situations and how they respond, whether they have that. We always have time for what we put first. When somebody says, I didn't have time to do that, well, you didn't make it a priority. Right. But let's really look at where your time went.
Right.
But if you have a like-minded we're going to just constantly improve. We're always looking for the better way to do something. I don't think there is ever a best way, because things evolve so quickly that things are going to change. I mean, there's one thing I was listening when we were filming Randy Carver. He was actually interviewing Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank. And one thing Randy said was a quote, it's like, with the speed of change, things are as fast as they've ever been and as slow as they'll ever be. And that's what you kind of realize. It's almost like your internet speed. It's as fast as it's ever been. It's as slow as it's ever going to be. So you have to really realize you have to adapt. If you want a skill, I want people that are quick learners that can adapt. So if I am doing something, I don't need you to have 10 years experience. You can have 10 months of experience. But be a quick adapter, because things will probably be changing next year. And you have to be comfortable with that change and embrace that.
Yeah, especially with technology, how quickly it's changing. And I mean, especially if you look at these last 6 months, if you fail to adapt to the new way of real estate of doing business, chances are your business is not looking pretty hot right now, because there are so many quick changes that had to be done, from the way you're doing virtual contracts to virtual showings. Everything's gone virtual. And then we went into a hybrid stage, or some of the things you're doing in person, some of the things you're still doing virtually. So how did you take your team and make that transition?
You have to schedule a time to train, just like if you're to work out. If you don't schedule a time that you're going to work on a skill, it's not going to happen. So you have to look at that with your calendar, as simple as it is. Get a highlighter out, and whatever it is you want to learn, block an hour out and commit to doing that. So I know we do that with prospecting, but I think you need to do that as far as your presentation, your mindset. What are you listening to podcast wise, and what you can truly do to work on your skill set. But and you've got time to do that. Anybody, and we all. I even look at myself now, and I'm like, man, I just don't feel like I had the November. I had a lot of real estate sales. I had a lot of things cleaning up with the different, removal of contingencies and stuff. But I kind of looked at it like, I could have been better. I wasted some time. I could have created more content. I think I was doing a little too much scrolling, a little bit too much other items. For me, I'm normally scrolling, I'm still looking for intelligent things, whether it's a perspective or a video concept. So to me, it's still, I basically weed out, I only follow people that I think are going to add value or entertainment or connection. But still the point of like, okay, I need to just start earlier, block out more content creation time, and just a little bit more holding people accountable and wrapping up some construction projects. Because, you do need to inspect what you expect and just be a little bit more diligent, checking in with people to make sure we're on course. So now I'm like going to be telling the crew, hey, we're all going Psycho 60 because
And I think that's part of being a good leader, is staying in learner mode, always thinking we can do more, and always seeing what the next objective is. And it's like, all right, what could I have done to make last month better? And there's always things that we can constantly improve on. So Todd, I appreciate you coming on the Live with Leaders segment. I got a lot of value out of it. I know y'all did too. And for you guys to get free real estate training, we got a lot of it. Just go to nickkrem.com. Todd, thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure, man. See you, Jen.